In Brandon Stale to the Chargers, Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs OC, is still waiting for his call. He's interviewed, Max and Stephen A., for 7 jobs.
Here's the thing. It's always good to be mentioned and having an opportunity to pursue your dreams. And obviously, yes, I do want to be a head coach. But when it's all said and done with, my job is to make sure everything that we're doing right now is not to take away from the goals that we're trying to accomplish. The only thing that matters today, we got better. My own personal business, when all that's time to take care of itself, that will take care of itself.
All right, Stephen A., the Texans still don't have a head coach. We know that whole situation concerning Deshaun Watson wanting out. How much pressure is on that franchise to hire a black coach?
Well, there's immense pressure on them simply because of the things that has been alluded to by Deshaun Watson. We haven't heard him directly call them out in that fashion, but if you listen to Adam Schefter's reports along with that of various others, he's incredibly unhappy with the organization. Mm-hmm. And when you consider the 180 that has taken place with Deshaun Watson, where he goes from signing an incredibly lucrative contract and he's in tears and incredibly grateful to the McNair family and the organization for showing that faith in him, to completely do a 180, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with them. Something's going awry, and it ain't just about their 4-12 record. Remember, reports are that J.J. Watt didn't want to be there any longer. Reports are that J.J. Watt went up to Deshaun Watson and apologized to him. We also recognize the fact that Deshaun Watson has clearly displayed his frustration, and he won't even return their phone calls. That speaks volumes, and that tells me that it's something beyond football. And I'm here to tell you, usually when it comes to a black man, and it's something that extends beyond the field of play, you have done something to offend this man. Now let's get into the broader picture of things. Before I say anything, let me give major props to the Washington football team. Jason Wright is a black man. He is the president of football. He's the president of the team, period. Business affairs. Ron Rivera, everything got to go through him football-wise. But this man's the president of the organization. Mm-hmm. They've just decided to hire Martin Mayhew as their general manager. It'll be the first time in NFL that I recall, and then I think it's in NFL history, that a black man, that two minorities, two black men, the president and the GM of an organization in the National Football League. Before that, our standard was Miami with Chris Greer as the general manager and Brian Flores as the head coach. At this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, in the year 2020, with the whole social justice issue really percolating and hitting our mind's eye in this nation, we have 2 black head coaches in the National Football League. Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, Brian Flores in Miami. That is disgusting. What you are saying essentially is that a black man can't lead men. You don't have enough faith in them. We watched this guy, Dan Campbell, for the new coach for the Detroit Lions, talk about how biting at people's knees and, you know, how we going to continue to get up and all of this other stuff because we want to represent the city of Detroit.
We're going to play that sound later, too.
That's right.
Sure.
I would remind everybody that the Detroit Lions have won 1 playoff game in 63 years. And the last time they won the game was 30 years ago. What the hell you mean get up? When the hell you get up? When'd you get up? As a football franchise, that never happened. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but that's neither here nor there. The biggest issue now is that we're looking at a situation where they don't want to trust black men to be leaders. And I look at an Eric Bieniemy, and I will remind everybody, I made sure to put it here in my phone because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. When I think about Eric Bieniemy, here's what I'm thinking about. Since he has been a coordinator in Kansas City, Max, the Chiefs have been first in points per game, 31 points per game. First in yards per game, 406.9 per game. First in total QBR, which is 79 in the National Football League. He has been the offensive coordinator. So why would you not give him an opportunity to have this job? You know why? Do you know why? Because Andy Reid's his coach. And because Andy Reid is known as this brilliant offensive mind and this brilliant play caller, and his resume speaks for itself. I know Andy Reid and I love him. But the bottom line is you have folks out there who are owners that are saying, you ain't doing that. Andy Reid is doing it. And so all of those things, one thing after another continues to be found as an excuse to marginalize and minimize the contributions of black men in the National Football League. And that's why some of those coaches who don't like me, let me be first to say, I don't give a damn. I could care less. I hope you hate me, okay? Because I can't stand what I'm seeing from the National Football League, and I am not blaming Roger Goodell in the NFL League office with Troy Vincent and those boys. I am blaming each respective owner in the National Football League who has allowed this insidious behavior to continue.
I would amend one thing you said.
Sure.
You said the message is that black men can't lead. I think that the message that I read, at least, is that they don't want black men to lead. By the way, a black man got elected president, there immediately was a Tea Party, right? The same, and women go through the same thing. There are a lot of people who, whether they're conscious of it or not, what they feel in their gut, because the history of this country has been that white men have been in charge, can't kind of find it in themselves to put themselves in a position where a black man or a woman or someone who doesn't look like, in that respect, what they're used to leading. It rubs them the wrong way. And why that is,
fear of losing power as well.
Right. And it's a whole, in terms of insecurity and everything, we could do it's too much to get into here, but that's what I see. In a league that is more than 50% African American, to have two African American men in charge of the team. Why? So what are they, 14, 15, 16 coaches behind? And it's not just 50%, it's well over. Even if you averaging well, but the African American population is only 13% of the general population. Okay, but two? Should be at least half, you would think. Why is it not? Why every time is there an excuse why, well, this guy just wasn't the guy? It's not that they can't, or they're saying they can't. It's that they don't want them to. The powers that be, whether they are conscious of it or not, or maybe it's they're kind of aware of the way they feel about it, but they're trying to deny it, clearly don't want them to be in charge. And that's what we're seeing. We saw it at the quarterback position for decades and decades. Now we're seeing it at the head coaching and GM spots. That's what it's about.
Well, I don't disagree with that. You want to say, because that's basically what I was meaning when I said that. They don't want to. They don't want that. And, the fear of black men by some of these folks in positions of power is very flagrant. It's very flagrant. And you know what? I love how when everything was going on over the last few months in the immediate aftermath of George Floyd's killing, you had so many people talking about, we're listening. We want to hear you. We want to understand. And then give it a few months and things are back to the same old, same old. We sat up here on the show. And what did I say to you at the time, Max and Molly? I talked about it's not about emotion. It's got to be about strategizing. Because when it comes to the emotions, they're going to sit back and just wait for the emotions to subside. And then they're going to return to the same old, same old. But when you strategize, they have to strategize accordingly. And as a result, they're going to have to deal with you with the potency that you possess and deserve. And as a result, they're going to have to strategize themselves, plan accordingly, and maybe come closer, inch closer to doing the right thing. This is indicative of the fact that as things change, as times move on, things never the same. There are less coaches now. There are less black coaches now in the National Football League than there were before all the social justice.
That's why it's unbelievable. I feel like we're taking a step back. Of all the years, I was hopeful that this year there would actually be progress on this front. It was embarrassing. I was watching SportsCenter last night. You're seeing Adam Schefter and everyone talking about it. No one has it. They don't know what to say.
This is the same issue that comes up time and again. And for those who would deny that it's racism, or latent racism even, unconscious
familiarity bias, something.
What I would say is this. If there are 2 out of 32, but the league is like 75% African American, if in fact you're saying that no, it's not about denying better candidates than the ones we're hiring, if this is just the way it shook out, then what you are in fact also saying, and you have to confront this if you're an NFL owner, black people are less capable of leading. That's what you're saying as a group. They have to acknowledge. It has to be one or the other. You either have to acknowledge that unconsciously maybe, which is the best defense you can have, you're not aware that you don't want to see black people in positions of authority, or You have to admit that, in fact, what you're saying is they're not good enough. It's one or the other. And since we know, in fact, that the second is not the case and would make you racist, the best defense they have is we don't even realize that we have these feelings, but apparently we do.
Here's what I know for sure. It's not a lengthier resume. It's not more accolades. It's not more years as an OC or a DC. That's not making the decision. All right, we'll leave it there. Obviously, this discussion is far from over. Continues to